Hi guys, and welcome back here to the Dev Realm, and today we gotta carry on our series about MMO framework, right? And if you guys remember what we did on the last episodes, that we set up Linux on our machine. So what I would like here to do today is that I would like to carry on, and if you remember, we got to the point where we got the VS Code displaying when you have all the information here and everything set up. Now there's a couple of things here that we have to set up, all right, in order to get at least the project running before we can actually code things on it. Because I'm using this framework here that I created to run the Linux, so there's a couple of things here that you have to do. Let me just zoom in here to help you guys see what we're doing. So I am gonna click on the env-file.example. I'm gonna copy and paste that, and I am gonna rename this to just .env. All right, that's where we're gonna basically keep our environment configurations. So the Docker prefix, we're gonna call this Unreal. The network name, just leave it as a Laravel app, and the container name, we're gonna call this MMO framework. Great. Now here is gonna basically say, oh, please, can you point to the source code? Source code is our server. You guys remember here, we have a folder called Laravel, so we're just gonna call Laravel, right? Now, the next thing that we're gonna do here is that we need to set up maybe the ports and anything. Like, we don't really need to do anything else, so I'm just gonna leave it the way it is, everything. Right, the next thing that we need to do is that we have here, let me just zoom out a little bit, something that I call makefiles. All right, makefiles is a bunch of rules. It's really cool stuff, really nice things you can do with it. It gets very complex, but for now you don't really need to worry to learn how this works. You just need to use it. All right, so I am gonna open up here my terminal. I'm just gonna slide my windows up, and on this terminal, and make sure you are in this directory where you have the files and everything. You should be. If you're not, if for some reason you kill the terminal, it just open up a new one here, or you keep expanding and keep opening up. Now I'm gonna run a command here called make, and in here we have start, we have build. We're gonna run build. All right, make build, and I am gonna type my password. If you guys remember, it's just Unreal123, and now we have Docker compose command not found. Now, if I type, let's say, this on the browser, we should see Docker compose not found. So probably what we got to do here is that we need to install Docker compose. So let's have a look here. Docker compose. If you're using Docker compose, in a nutshell, Docker compose 0, Python logo, supported Docker, replace the older version. So let's double check. Let's see, we can probably, as the guy is saying, we can just maybe just change this to be, let's say, Docker compose make build. All right, so this is gonna take a while. Okay, so this take maybe a couple of 5 minutes, and I'm gonna pause the video. If I have any errors, I'm gonna resume the video. If I don't have any errors, I'm also gonna resume the videos. So once again, I'll see you guys in a sec. All right, guys, yeah, so I just am resuming the video. So right now, my make build run without problems. So what you need to type here is just make start, and that also is going to install a couple of things. So basically, when it comes to Docker, there's a couple of ways you can run, because this is a custom image that I created, runs locally. It brings a bunch of services together to work as one. We have to do like this, but sometimes you find images that you just need to run one line and then it runs everything for you. On my case, this image has database access, it has cache, it has a bunch of stuff that we probably don't even need for this lesson. But the main important thing here is that we just set up all the services that we're gonna need. The good thing about using Docker as well, for those who are new to programming, is that you can create whole environments without having to install dependencies on your local machine. So you just create this Docker file, you add all your server setup. Let's say you have to integrate with Amazon to test like certain, features. You can replicate Amazon in essence on your Docker, and then you can try to interact with those containers and see if everything's testing. And then you can even deploy the whole container once it goes live. You can deploy, things like we're doing here, the MySQL server, which is our database. We're deploying PHP. We are deploying Laravel, which is basically our framework that controls everything. We're having all those panels to handle all these things for us. So right now, if I resume the video here, if I change to my main screen, everything has been finished, all right? So if I do now make list, I should have everything running with no problem. Cool, which is really nice. Now, if I do a clear and I do a make exec, all right, and I should actually better if I do an exit and do make link, I should have all those services running here. So if I hold Alt and click on that, I'm just gonna open up that link on my machine, and you should see this screen, which is basically a good screen. That means that our PHP is running, that our server is everything set up. We just need to basically do a couple of things to make sure we have our page running. All right. So what I'm gonna do here is that I'm gonna type make exec, and basically what this command does is basically it does what is it? Exec, right? I run Docker. I exec inside the Docker container that we created, and then I can run scripts. Or if you're using, let's say, the Docker extension that I think I have it here. I may don't have it here, but I can, let me just install everything here. And then while this runs, I can explain you guys later. But basically this allows me to run events and, the same things that we're doing here, like installing Docker. We can cd into the container, then install stuff if we need. In our case, since we are inside the Docker config, all we're gonna do here is that you are gonna run something called Composer, all right? You're gonna press enter, and then you should see all this stuff. For those who doesn't know what is Composer, right? Composer is basically, so if I type here Composer, it's basically an asset for PHP that allows us to install a bunch of dependencies, all right? And then if you type, for example, package list, package list is where we have all the packages for PHP, and you can browse a bunch of stuff here. And it's similar to like npm, similar to it. Those they are pretty much equal. The only difference is that one's made for PHP and one's made for Node. But anyway, let's get to what it matters. So now you're gonna run Composer update. Gonna hit enter, and what that is gonna do is that it's gonna install all the dependencies that we are using for this website. Now, as you can see, that has been finished, and I can refresh this page, and now I have a 500. That is probably because we haven't set up a couple of things that Laravel normally asks us to set up. So the thing that I want to do here is that in Laravel, you do have logs, and if you open up the logs, you probably see, oh, no application key has been specified, right? So that's a problem. So I'm just going to go back to our env file. I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to now change this to .env. And on my terminal, and keep eye on this line, right? I'm going to run php artisan key generate, and that will basically create a key for me, which is good. Also, this localhost, so if you refresh it, it should be working. Now I'm just gonna change this localhost to that. All right. Now you should see something like that we having, database at path, blah blah blah, that is complaining about connection that we have. Now to fix that, we're gonna go back to our MySQL here. Okay. And basically what we're going to do here is that on the DB host, right, we are going to open up our composer file. And here we're going to search for MySQL, all right? I'm using MySQL Wait, but you can use MariaDB, whatever you want. I'm going to copy that name. I'm going to go back inside the host and I'm going to paste it, right? Now, the connection, I'm just going to type MySQL, right? Now, the port is going to basically say what port. We're just going to leave it the way the port that it is because it's the default one. Now, it's going to ask for a MySQL user. We're going to put the MySQL user and the MySQL password. I'm going to put the MySQL password. Also, it's going to ask for a MySQL database. On our case, we already have a database. Now, if we did everything right, when you refresh, this should, let's say, work. The connection, let me just double check. Oh yeah, that's because we are doing on the env file. Sorry, we need on the example, we need to do that on this env that we just created. All right, that should work now. Now basically this is gonna start to complain that we don't have sessions and stuff. So all you gotta do here is that we're gonna go back and we're gonna run php artisan migrate. That should create all the migrations that we need to run our Laravel application. As you can see here, everything is running properly. Now you're wondering, how can we access the database, right? To access the database, I have also created a command. And if you want to exit from here, you just literally type exit, right? I'm going to clear and I'm going to type make links, all right? Or link, sorry. Now I have here something called phpMyAdmin. And that's what's we're gonna use to be able to see our server. So we're gonna be able to see sessions, users. Even using this button, you're gonna be able to add items, right? The idea here is that we're gonna create a backend APIs that we're gonna be using in our Unreal Engine to be able to add items and all things. And for example, users, we already have name. We're just gonna replace that to username, for example. All right. So that's everything I would like to do for this lesson, guys. And what we're going to do for the next one, we're going to start to program our server into, start to receive those users and handle all that stuff properly. Once again, thank you very much for watching. I see you guys in the next one.